Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone's doing all right. And welcome to our next webinar, which is all about FortiExtender, how it can extend, ensure, and secure your network. With me today is Brendan Scodell. He's one of our pre-sales engineers here based out of Queensland. Brendan has spent the past 9 years within the industry focusing on integration with Fortinet and other technologies. He's got a really good proven track record around delivering high-end solutions all the way from data centers, all the way down to low-end solutions like SD branch for small businesses within SMB. Brendan's got a really good focus on connecting and empowering our partners by mentoring and delivering enablement and training, as well as, of course, assisting our partners to be the very best versions of themselves within this very competitive landscape that there is out here at the moment. So Brendan, thank you so much for coming along with us today.
Pleased to be here, Kieran.
And then, of course, I have myself. My name's Kieran O'Brien. I am Wavelink's Fortinet enablement lead. I've got over 5 years experience in the industry. I came from a reseller industry. We were doing Sophos predominantly previously, but I've been doing Fortinet now for almost 4 years. I'm ECI House certified, so I know a fair bit about wireless. I'm NSE 1, 4, and 7, which of course in the new structure puts me in this lovely place of all over the place with the new certifications. But I've got a real focus around SMB, specifically SD branch and wireless and LAN networking. So that means we're fairly well versed between Brendan and I about FortiExtender. If you have any questions throughout this webinar, please shoot them through either through the questions or the chat functionality. We've got a bit of a Q&A at the very end. So if we don't get to answer your question throughout the webinar, we'll circle back in the Q&A section and try to answer any questions that you may have outstanding. Otherwise, the agenda for today, we'll quickly jump in and have a look at why businesses need a cellular and remote Ethernet gateway solution, which is the FortiExtender solution. We'll have a look at some of the key proposition, deployments, management options, and also the key benefits of using a FortiExtender. We'll then have a look at the current model portfolio, because Fortinet has probably the largest portfolio for the FortiExtender product line that it's ever had previously. We'll have a demo into how to integrate FortiExtender specifically into SD-WAN on the FortiGate, because that's a thing that we've seen a lot of customers asking a lot of questions about. We'll then quickly show you where to get some further information if you would like it, and then we'll jump into that Q&A section. For anyone that's new that hasn't dealt with us, Wavelink, before, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you so much for joining us in this webinar. Hopefully you'll join us in some future webinars. But here at Wavelink, we're doing our best to try and make sure that you guys, the partners, are supported as much as we can get it. And there's lots of benefits on why you would want to work alongside Wavelink and have us work with you. And some of those things are, we've got a really good professional services program that we're starting to roll out that includes things like staging, rollout services, and installation services. So if you want to get in more information about all the professional services that we're introducing into the landscape, just reach out to the pre-sales team or to your account manager, and they'll happily give you an introduction to the services team and all the things that we can do to try and help support you guys out there. Otherwise, let's jump straight into the content for today. So why do businesses need cellular and remote Ethernet gateways? From a high level overview, the FortiExtender itself allows customers to extend, ensure, and secure their network using these cellular gateway devices, which are the FortiExtender devices. They provide ultra-fast LTE and 5G wireless solutions to connect and scale up the customer's WAN edge. Or with some models that we have coming out now that are specifically LAN edge devices, you can extend the physical LAN network securely across the WAN edge. So taking your LAN network outside of your WAN, but doing it in a way that's nice and secure and it's very well automated, and a lot of it's done for you automatically. And the great thing about this is the FortiExtender itself integrates into the Fortinet Security Fabric. All models provide dual SIM, and some models have dual modem options, giving you more resiliency and more reliability. There's a true out-of-band management solution, which we'll touch on in a quick second. And because it's a standalone hardware device, and the big thing that we'll touch on today is you can place it wherever your optimal wireless reception is. And there's a couple of different ways that you can actually power the device. So it's very flexible in how you can deploy it. The challenges that we're seeing customers facing is that enterprise networks are growing rapidly, and they're growing more distributed and defined by what we call a thin branch network location. And that's all about having your branch locations, remote access, mobile services, and we're seeing that traditional broadband connectivity is often not quite enough to maintain the resiliency and network uptime required by enterprise networks these days. And in addition, supporting traditional WAN transport often results with high costs, specifically in industries where you're heavily dependent on things like IoT and OT devices, where you've got multiple distributed site locations. Putting all of that data onto one, maybe two physical connection links, but they're NBN connection links or dark fiber Ethernet links, that doesn't necessarily provide you the resiliency that your business or your customers may be looking for. And specifically in the retail space, we're seeing stores and kiosks that have point of sales or POS devices looking to try to get up to date with the PCI compliancy requirements. And the FortiExtender slots really nicely into the PCI compliancy requirements and provides you that network resiliency across 3, 4, and 5G networks. So the FortiExtender itself, it delivers your high availability wireless WAN solutions that empower the organizations to do that scalability and agility utilizing LTE and 5G cellular connection. And FortiExtender offers a range of different deployment modes in which we'll go through and have a look at, Brendan will present to you, to make sure that it can be used within any kind of deployment that your customer may require. Again, whether it's that high enterprise doing resiliency across a 5G network, or whether it's for a customer that has a whole bunch of point of sale POCs and POSs that they need securing. Some of the great benefits specifically for the FortiExtender is it allows you to scale out your edge with your wireless WAN, so LTE and 5G. It also allows you to expand out how you're doing high availability, whether you just want to add link redundancy or specifically when Brendan jumps in, he'll show you a deployment type where you can actually put a FortiExtender in front of a pair of HA FortiGates and use the FortiExtender to figure out which link you're using, whether it's a physical link or whether it's a wireless link. Again, giving you greater flexibility in how you can do high availability. There's out-of-band management, which allows for site device management connectivity during a wired outage, such as what we're experiencing today with Optus's outage. If you had a FortiExtender in there with like a Telstra SIM in it, for example, you could actually use that FortiExtender to do out-of-band management for the devices within your network. And Brendan will touch on that a bit more during this webinar. The FortiExtender itself is designed to be incorporated into the security fabric, allowing you to do things like single pane of glass management, and also allows you to do enterprise automation and utilize the functionality of the FortiExtender within your automation stitches. And the great thing about how Fortinet has incorporated the FortiExtender specifically into the FortiGate with the security fabric integration, it allows you to use the FortiExtender within your SD-WAN policy, allowing you to do a whole range of things like link aggregation or link redundancy within your SD-WAN policies. And we'll actually jump in and we'll do a demonstration of what that looks like. With that, I'll pass over to Brendan to talk about the different types of management that you can do on the FortiExtender.
Thank you, Kieran. Are you going to pass over control of the
Yep,
screen?
just passing it over now.
I haven't got it yet. That's okay. There we go. Let's come through now. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so FortiExtender management modes. There are 3 different management modes that we're going to talk about today. When the PowerPoint slide wants to go forward. So we have standalone mode where the FortiExtender acts on its own. We have FortiGate managed where we can manage it and all its settings through the FortiGate. And we can also manage it in FortiCloud. And FortiCloud has some unique use cases as well. So in standalone mode, we can operate in 2 different modes. We can have IP pass-through where we can pass the public IP address straight through to the FortiGate. If you have it connected to a WAN like NBN, for instance, you can just pass that straight through. If you're on 4G, obviously you could be behind CGNAT, so there may or may not be a benefit to that. We can also use NAT mode where the FortiExtender acts as a router on its own, and it provides network connectivity to your devices in your network. So in IP pass-through mode, you can see here that the example on the right-hand side where the FortiExtender is getting the 133 address, and that passes it through to the router, which could be a FortiGate, it could be another device. That router is then giving the client IP addresses out as well. So it's acting in NAT mode. Well, the router is in NAT mode, but the FortiExtender is in pass-through mode. So this is useful if you already have infrastructure set up. In NAT mode, we don't need the router, and we can have multiple LANs, we can create VPN tunnels, we can create VLANs. It is a fully fledged router on its own. The difference between the FortiExtender and the FortiGate is that we don't have the UTP functions on the FortiExtender. Now, the FortiExtender in standalone mode can also be managed by FortiExtender Cloud. So you still have both of those 2 options. In FortiGate managed mode, you'll see here in that screenshot that the FortiGate is managed by the FortiGate, and it shows up using the Security Fabric connection. And I'll do a demo of this. The management is integrated into the FortiOS product, but also can be managed by FortiManager as well to help streamline that deployment. It also centralizes the logging and reporting via the Security Fabric. So all the logging is obviously done on the FortiGate and then passed through to the FortiAnalyzer. And as Kira mentioned before, it is also compatible with FortiGates in HA, and you can utilize the FortiExtender as the HA heartbeat as well. So it is just a network connection. This is a screenshot of the FortiManager where we can set up different profiles and have different templates so that we can streamline the deployment of many FortiExtenders. And that's kind of the goal of FortiManager, is to consolidate and streamline that process and enable zero touch, which is what we're talking about here, is the zero touch provisioning. So the idea is that the FortiExtender with a SIM card in it can phone home straight away and get its configuration. So really just out of the box, it just connects and gets its config and works. It can also do firmware upgrades as well. So the firmware upgrade can also be automated. So with FortiExtender Cloud, this enables the zero touch deployment as well. The devices will automatically phone home once they have an internet connection, whether that's through 4G or through NBN or a fiber service. The choice is yours. We can do centralized management across all those devices, as well as configure carrier plans. So you might want to change the APN and use Telstra.extranet, and then you don't have CGNAT. We can also do scheduled firmware upgrades and modem upgrades to the devices as well, because the modem upgrades can be separate. You don't have to do the modem upgrades with the firmware. And it also supports multi-tenancy for our MSSP clients. So I'm going to show you the, sorry, this is the deployment modes. I thought it's a demo. The demo is coming. So there's two different deployment modes. The first one is wireless WAN extension. So with the wireless WAN extension, what we are doing is we are controlling the FortiExtender with the FortiGate and then using it as an interface to have internet access from the FortiExtender. Now the FortiExtender can pass through that IP address to the gate, and then it uses either the LAN or either the WAN, which is your NBN, or your 4G. The advantages of this is that we can integrate it into the FortiGate's SD-WAN configuration. And that enables us to have failover with other multiple links, and we're not just reliant on the extender. This is obviously managed by the gate and FortiManager, and we still get the benefits of the centralized logging and reporting. So a use case here is you have your FortiGate on site or at your remote site, and you have your FortiExtender providing 4G. So this is used highly in construction sites where there is no fixed services, for instance. And then using that, we can also do quality of service and traffic management as well. So because the 5G signal may not be high bandwidth, so controlling that traffic is quite important. Using the SD-WAN interface on the FortiGate, we can do link failover. So we could have multiple extenders, or we can use the extender with multiple SIM cards to provide failover as well. The FortiExtender with multiple SIM cards, we can configure that using the FortiManager or the FortiGate using the configuration profiles. We can also have it use the best quality link to send out, traffic based on the link health. So for example, Teams, we need low latency for Teams. So therefore we'd have that go at the link that's giving us the best results on latency. We can also have, redundant connections as well. So the FortiExtender uses VRRP. So we can have the FortiExtender as a redundant internet path, for instance, for your downstream devices where it sits alongside your FortiGate. So you can see in that diagram, you've got your FortiGate on the right-hand side with FortiGate's on the left, extender is on the right. And they're just communicating with each other with VRRP. The FortiExtender must be in NAT mode because we need it to talk on the network as well. And this is also supported in standalone or FortiExtender Cloud, so it can't be managed by the FortiGate to achieve this. One other thing that we can do, as we mentioned before, is that we can use the FortiExtender in the HA configuration of the FortiGate. So the FortiExtender can be patched into both. So then if the HA fails for whatever reason, the active FortiGate can communicate with the extender. And this works in any mode. So it could be in FortiGate managed, it could be in standalone or FortiExtender Cloud. So now I've got the demo. Let me just find my web browser. So in my environment here, I've got a FortiGate 40F 3G 4G. So my FortiGate could actually have a SIM card in it as well. But I'm actually using my FortiExtender. So you can see here my extender is connected. I've authorized it. When I authorized my extender, I also set a profile. So I set the WAN extension profile. From here, I can also do my firmware upgrades. I can enable management access if I want to be able to log into it. And I can also change the password. The other thing you have to do is specify an interface. So the FortiExtender will use this interface to pass through the IP address. So you can see here, I'm using Telstra at the moment, not Optus, because Optus is currently having some issues with their network. But I'm using just a standard Telstra internet, so I'm getting a 10.211 address from Telstra. if we have a look at the profiles, so if I go into my WAN extension profile, I can actually set a data plan, which I'll show you afterwards as well. But we can configure the management. So at the moment, I've got all my management turned off because I don't want to be able to log into my extender. I can set which SIM card to use. So my FortiExtender, which is a 211E, has the ability to have 2 SIM cards, but only 1 modem. So I need to select which SIM card I want to use. But I can also do SIM switching by either disconnection, signal, or data plan. And so I use this, like a use case for this is I drove to Cairns recently with my 2 young kids. And so I put a FortiExtender in my car. And so I had a Telstra SIM and an Optus SIM. And I had it disconnect by signal. So then when I went through an area where the Telstra signal got low, it switched over to the Optus SIM and the Optus signal picked up and I had internet access the entire trip. It worked really well for watching Netflix. If we have a look at the data plans and we look at Telstra, so you can select, which modem it's available on if you've got multiple modems. I'm just using IPv4, but you could also use IPv4 or IPv6. You can set your standard APN. So if you were using Telstra.extranet, you could type in Telstra.extranet. But if you were just using the APN provided by Telstra, you just leave it blank. This is the same with Optus. I know Optus have an extranet APN as well. I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head. We can also set data limits as well. So if you have like a 10 gig limit on your SIM card, we can set that as a limit. And we can also set the signal threshold of when we want it to switch. In our profile, we can have multiple data planes as well. So if you have multiple SIM cards, you can have multiple different APNs and multiple different data planes. I'm going to switch back to the presentation. So the next mode that I want to talk about is LAN extension. So what LAN extension does is it enables a FortiExtender, which is managed by the FortiGate, to control the network at the remote site. Now, this is secured because the FortiExtender phones home to the FortiGate and then creates a IPsec tunnel back to the FortiGate and then passes the encrypted traffic back home to the FortiGate to then get internet access from there. It's also useful for accessing on-premise services as well. And this connectivity can also be either wired or cellular. So, the FortiExtender will configure a tunnel over every link that it has access to. So the benefit of this is a single pane of glass because the FortiGate manages the network at the remote site and tunnels the traffic back to it. So we can see where all those devices are going. We can provide web filtering and application control and give them the benefits of the SD-WAN as well. And this is highly scalable. So, if you didn't want to have a fully managed router at each site, you could put a FortiExtender. If you've only got a few devices at that site, then those devices would then connect back into your FortiGate at your head office, or you could host that FortiGate in Azure or AWS or Google Cloud. The choice is yours. And then give them internet access from there. I'm going to hand over to Kieran, who's going to run through the LAN extension demo, because he's got this set up at the moment.
Thanks, Brendan. Just going to switch back to myself. Okay. So if I jump in and I have a look at my environment here, I've got 2 extenders connected into my network. I've got one as a WAN extension, exactly how Brendan's got his sort of set up. But I've also got this secondary FortiExtender here that is set up in this LAN extension mode. So if I jump in, we'll see the exact same page as what Brendan had set up, but at the very top under mode, instead of doing that WAN extension, I have mine set up in the LAN extension mode. And what this will do is in the background, the FortiGate will actually automatically create a VPN tunnel between the FortiGate itself and the FortiExtender. And that's completely automated for you. And it will then set up an interface on your FortiGate that you can go through and configure to create LAN networks within the FortiExtender itself. So if we go into interfaces, we'll see here under LAN extension, I have that FortiExtender set up here. And if I jump into this interface, it's exactly the same as a standard interface set up on your FortiGate. You can go through and you can set up whether you want it to be assign an IP address manually. In this case, I've got it set up as 192.168.8.254 on a /24 network, but I can also use IPAM, DHCP, POE, exactly the same as a standard interface within your FortiGate. You can then do your administrative access, set up a DHCP server if you would like to. I've got this disabled, and when we jump into my device that's actually connected into this network on that FortiExtender, we'll see I've manually just set IP addresses just for now, just for the demo. And then of course you can do your traffic shaping. And traffic shaping is potentially, depending on where you have your devices set up, could be quite a important thing for you to set up, especially if you're using the WAN or SIM or modem on the FortiExtender, and the FortiExtender is in a location that doesn't have great internet speeds. Then you'll want to make sure that you're using traffic shaping for any traffic going in or out of that network to make sure that your most important data is going to be sent first before your general traffic. So you might want Teams to be high priority, but maybe stuff like YouTube to be low priority. You can go through, and on that interface, you can actually set VLAN interfaces as well. So you can set up multiple sub-interfaces within that network as well. And that means that you could maybe have a network set up for your POS systems, a network set up for data clients like PCs, and maybe a network set up for your printers at each of the remote locations. And then the FortiGate will tunnel all of those VLANs and all that traffic back to your main FortiGate, where you can then choose how you would like to distribute out that traffic. And because this is set up like a normal interface on the FortiGate, you do need to set up your firewall policies to allow traffic to go through them. So if I go to policies and objects and then firewall policies, you can see here that I've just got two basic policies set up to allow traffic from that FortiExtender network out to my WAN, so that any clients that I have connected into the FortiExtender at my remote location has internet access, and also a policy in here that allows traffic from that FortiExtender network to come into my LAN network here at my home, just so that I can demonstrate that connectivity is working correctly. Now I've also got a device, which is this old MacBook that I've got sitting over here next to me, connected directly into this FortiExtender. And if I jump on here, we can manually set the IP address to be 192.168.8.1. So it's connected into that LAN segment that we've created on the FortiExtender. And then if I go to Safari, sorry, let me just refresh this page. It's been a while since I set up this network. I know, it appears my laptop is lost connection. Sorry, this is sometimes what happens when we do live demos. It doesn't quite work the way we intend it to do. We might have to come back to this one. I was just going to show you guys on the Mac device, it connecting through to the LAN network, just to show you that traffic is actually allowed to go from my FortiExtender network that I have off to the side here into my corporate network or my data network that I have set up. Brendan, I might pass it back to you to finish off the rest of the FortiExtender benefit slides. And then when we get to the next demo, if I can work on this in the background and get it working, I'll quickly jump back in and finish that demo.
Cool. Thank you, Kieran. Just to touch on some of the problems that we were having, with this Optus outage, I've been having issues connecting to Kieran's FortiGate remotely as well. Now, neither of us are on Optus, but there's still an issue there. So we are interested to see if it's actually affecting other services outside of Optus, because we couldn't explain it. So this could be potentially why Kieran's demo isn't working. It's because he's running over 4G. So it's just interesting at the with the present landscape. So some of the FortiExtender benefits. One of the key things, and the reason I want to use a FortiExtender instead of my FortiGate 3G, 4G, is because I can put it anywhere. So I have a 42 RU rack that is made of metal, with a metal door. And so 4G signals inside that rack for my 40F is not going to be fantastic. So with my FortiExtender, anywhere that there's a data cable, I can plug it into my network. So I can have it in a spot where it gets better 4G signal, and therefore I can get better services. The FortiExtender also has external SMA connectors, so you can use any third-party antennas and cabling as well with it. As I mentioned before as well, it can also do the SIM switching. So this makes it very useful when services fail, or if you are traveling and you're hopping between towers and things like that. And also using the data plane, making sure you don't go over your data usage. There's a lot of use cases here for the SIM switching. Another function that that Kieran and I learned about while preparing this presentation is SMS notifications. So the FortiExtender can actually send SMSs to an IT admin to alert them of certain events happening. So for example, the LTE is disconnected or the data plan is exhausted. We can even have it send SMSs on reboots. So there's a lot of power here for that instant notification to be alerted of if something happens. So another feature that we haven't spoken about is out-of-band management. So what we can do here is we can have the FortiExtender connected to 4G. It phones home to FortiExtender Cloud. And in your data center, this could be very useful because it has no reliance on any of your internal infrastructure. We can then use a USB to RJ45 console cable, and it can support up to 16 serial sessions through that terminal. So using FortiExtender Cloud, you can get into the CLI of the FortiExtender through the tunnel that it created. I thought I was sharing my screen, Kieran. Can you not see it?
No, not at the moment. I can't see the screen. Do you want to just redo the screen sharing?
Yes, because it's saying that my screen is being shared.
Yep, there we go. It might have just been me.
Yep, all good. So using that tunnel, that reverse tunnel, we can then connect to the SSH. Oh, sorry, not the SSH. The serial connection of your devices in your data center. So it is a true out-of-band management where it's not reliant on any of your infrastructure. So it's really a powerful thing. So another feature that it has as well is Bluetooth. So using that Bluetooth connection, there is a FortiExplorer app for Android and iOS, and you can configure basic settings with the Bluetooth connection out of the box. This FortiExplorer app is also being expanded to FortiGates as well. So the new FortiGate 90G, for instance, has a Bluetooth antenna on the front. I highly recommend not unscrewing it. And using that Bluetooth connection, you can get it online up and running pretty quickly just from your mobile device. So I'm going to hand back over to Kieran to talk about the model portfolio.
Hey, Brendan. Just get my slides up to speed. Here we go. All right. So as we talked about before, I briefly mentioned before, this is quite possibly Fortinet's largest range of products that they've had for the FortiExtender portfolio. We've got the 5G and LTE extenders. We've also got LAN extension devices, which is in the middle there. I'm not sure why that's saying 5G LTE extenders. And then we've also got our vehicle, or Fortinet's vehicle range, which they've just released for America only. But I thought we'd quickly touch on it for this webinar. So the 5G and LTE extenders, these are your traditional FortiExtenders. And the model that starts it off is the 101F. This is the single Cat6 LTE single modem, but dual SIM. It does 300 megabits per second download and 500 megabits per second upload. And it itself can be powered either through PoE 802.3AF, or you can also optionally get a DC power supply for the device. The next model up from there is the 201F, which replaces the 201E. This is a category 7 LTE, which does 300 megabits per second download, 150 megabits per second upload. It's single modem, but dual SIM. Again, can be powered through 802.3 AF, or you can optionally get a DC power supply for it. The next model up is the 202F. Now this is a 201F, but with dual modems. And because it's dual modems, it allows you to double that speed, which takes you to 600 megabits per second theoretical download and 300 megabits per second theoretical upload. And each of those modems, I should say, are both dual SIM capable, which means this device is actually capable of having 4 SIM cards in it, and then you can switch across those using the dual modems however you would like. The next model up is the 211E. This one's been around for quite some time. It's a category 12 LTE single modem but dual SIM. It does up to 600 megabits per second download and up to 100 megabits per second upload, and of course powered through PoE 802.3 AF, or also a DC power supply. Next model up is the 212F. This is basically a 211E, but with dual modems, allowing you to double that throughput all the way to 1.2 gigabits per second download and 300 megabits per second upload. And of course, both of those modems are both capable of dual SIM, so you can have up to 4 SIM cards within this model and switch between them however you would like across the dual modems. The next model up, and this one looks quite cool, it's the 311F. This is a category 16 LTE device, which does 1 gigabit download and up to 150 megabits upload. It's a single modem, but dual SIM. Now, this is the first model in which case you need PoE Plus to power it, which is 802.3 AT, or of course you can power it with a DC power supply. So if you are looking to deploy them, just make sure that you've got PoE Plus if you're powering these through PoE. And then the top of the line range product is the Extender 511. This is a 5G device, which is a sub 6 gigahertz Cat20 LTE. It's a dual SIM, but only single modem device, but it's capable of a gigabit download and up to 150 megabits upload, and has a very vast range of capability in terms of the carriers that it can be brought onto. It's also the only FortiExtender device to have an SFP port on the FortiExtender itself, which allows you to potentially plug in things like fiber modules to do, connectivity across a fiber run, if you would like to, directly from the FortiExtender itself. And this requires either PoE Plus for PoE input, or optionally that DC power supply input. Now on the LAN extension, we've got the FortiExtender 200F. So this only does LAN extension mode. It doesn't do your WAN extension mode because there's no modem built into this device. It only allows for that LAN extension, but it's got 5 gigabit Ethernet ports, and each of these are completely configurable in that LAN extension mode. allowing you to extend that corporate network that you've got out to other places where you may already have existing networks, or you maybe just don't require a FortiGate. It's maybe just 1 or 2 people there, and you just want to connect them into the corporate network. So you can deploy this nice and easy, and off they go. There's also the vehicle extenders. So the first model is the FortiExtender Vehicle 211F. Just know this is for North America only. It's not for APAC just yet. We're hoping to see it come to APAC soon. But it's a category 12 LTE modem, a dual SIM but single modem, 600 megabits per second download, 150 megabits per second upload. And the big thing about this device is it actually has wireless or Wi-Fi 802.11ac built in, which allows you to do essentially a FortiExtender and a FortiAP within a single device. And this is fantastic for things like mobile vehicle deployments and OT applications, as well as into mining. We could see this quite potentially a large thing for a lot of mining customers. The antennas come external to the FortiExtender itself. You can see them up here in the top right of the screen. And this allows you to place the antenna at the best location on that vehicle or wherever it's being deployed to, and then actually put that FortiExtender device itself wherever the best location is to get either Wi-Fi or to get LAN devices connected into it. So hopefully we'll have more details like availability for the FortiExtender vehicle within Australia soon. But right now, like I said, it's in North America only, unfortunately. If you have any questions about any of the product line, please do let us know, and we'll do our best to respond back. Otherwise, we'll quickly jump across back to Brennan, and he will do a SD-WAN integration demo with the FortiExtender.
Thank you, Kieran. Just going to share my screen. So this is my same FortiGate that I had up before. And you can see here, I applied that data plane for Telstra. I wanted to see the interface, but it's under Manage FortiExtender. If we go to the extender, you can see here that I've got the interface set to 4G. That's one that I created for this extender. So if I go to network interfaces, you'll see here that we've got FortiExtender in WAN extension mode, and the interface is called 4G, and it's got an IP address. Like Kieran showed you, it's it's just another interface essentially. Although because it's in WAN extension mode, it's just passing the IP address directly through, so I can't set the IP. I am retrieving the default gateway from that connection as well, but I'm not using the DNS servers that are provided. If I go to my SD-WAN, you'll see here that I've got my virtual WAN linked zone, and I've added that interface into my SD-WAN. One thing I did do, because it is 4G, I wanted to use it as my secondary link in case of failure, so I increased my priority. And this just means that it won't have precedence over my fiber link that I've got to my house. But because I've got it in a zone, I can then create a performance SLA. And we can see here that just pinging 1.1.1.1, it's getting 25 milliseconds response time to that service. But it's also only got 1 millisecond jitter, which is really good for a 4G link, and no packet loss. So it's getting some good response times. From there, we can then create an SD-WAN rule. So at the moment, I don't have any rules, but I would just create a rule, set my sources all, set my destination as all, but then I might use the best quality link, and I can either set the interface preference as to which one I want to use. Now, this is a top-down list, so I want to select my WAN link first and then my 4G. And I could also use the measured SLA as well. And then it will then load balance those two links based over, that performance SLA, and then in the order of the members as well. So it's really simple to add a FortiExtender to your SD-WAN deployment. And you can also create IPsec tunnels and things like that over it as well. So if you have a hub and spoke network, you could use it as part of that topology as well. So I'll hand back over to Kieran to wrap up the webinar.
Thanks, Brendan. I've got my demo working, so I'll quickly finish off what we were doing before with the LAN extension node. So if I bring this down for you guys, so this is the device I was trying to get into before, and this Mac here is connected directly into the FortiExtender that's in that LAN extension mode, and we can see it's on that 192.168.8.1 network. Now, if I open up Safari and we just open a new tab, do I have internet? Question mark. We can see that yes, okay, the devices are connected in through that FortiExtender do indeed have internet access. But more crucially, if I try to access something that's on my corporate network, let's go https://192.168.1.180. We'll see, because I created a firewall policy that allows traffic to go from this FortiExtender network to my data network, I will actually have connectivity into this device here. Now, fortunately, this is a little bit of a slow device to connect to. So if I just open up my terminal, I can also ping it. 80.
Oh no.
Oh, sorry, it might have turned itself off. This is a NAS device I'm trying to connect to, which does have an auto time off. So it might just be sleeping right now. But you know, if this was like a web page or some sort of internal service, that would allow that traffic to go through and connect in. Sorry that the live demo for the LAN extension wasn't working today. If you do want us to demonstrate it properly, whether you want to do a one-on-one or one-on with your whole company, we do have a separate environment that's a little bit more comprehensive than this that we can spin up and actually run a more comprehensive demo of the LAN extension mode for you guys. Otherwise, there's a whole range of other locations where you guys can get information about the FortiExtender devices. Some information for ordering. There's the Fortinet ordering guide, which if you should just type in FortiExtender ordering guide, you'll see a lot of this information presented there. But it's really simple to order the FortiExtender. We've sort of broken it down into 4 main SKUs that you may need to purchase. One is the hardware. The second is the license, whether you want it managed by the FortiGate, in which case you just need FortiCare support. If you want it managed by FortiExtender Cloud, then you just need to buy the cloud management license, which includes FortiCare with it. Or if you want it to be managed also by FortiSASE, which is something we haven't talked about for today's webinar, but if you want to get more information on it, we did have a webinar specifically about FortiSASE in the past, then you just need the license for FortiSASE cloud management. So it's a combination of.
Sorry,
yep,
just to touch on that, Kieran, for FortiSASE, it's just it's the same as the FortiExtender LAN Edge mode. Sorry, the LAN extension mode.
Perfect. So if you guys want more info, just feel free to reach out or check out that webinar. So obviously we've got it broken down by the categories for you guys. And we will be releasing these slides after the webinar, so you can actually copy these SKUs down and make notes if you would like to. Otherwise, there's a lot of information on Fortinet's own website about the FortiExtender. There's a really comprehensive data sheet that goes through and explains all the technical capabilities of the FortiExtender, as well as the different frequencies that the FortiExtenders actually work on themselves. So definitely, if you're looking to scope and deploy a FortiGate, definitely check that out. There's a lot of really good information about how to configure and deploy the FortiExtender on the Fortinet documents library, as well as release notes. Fortinet are releasing firmware updates for these devices on a very regular cadence, and they're introducing a lot of new features with the new releases of the FortiExtender. So if you're a technical team member, definitely jump onto the FortiExtender page in the documents library and have a read through it. If you're NSC 4 and above certified, there's also the FortiDemo platform, Unfortunately, there's none specifically on the FortiExtender here, but I just thought I'd say if you have that certification NSE4 and above, definitely check out the Forti demo because there's a lot of great fabric environments in here that you can spin up and do demos, whether it's demo to a customer or if you just want to try something out in an environment that you can sort of tinker and expand out. This is a great resource to you. Otherwise, we'll quickly jump in and have a look at any of the Q&As that we might have had come through. Brendan, do you have any ones to read off?
I do. In LAN extension mode, where is the gateway for the LAN IP? So you configured your extender in LAN extension mode. For your Mac that you were using in the demo, where is the default gateway for that Mac laptop?
So the default gateway set on that Mac is that interface that we actually set up on the FortiGate for the LAN extension mode. So specifically in this demo, it was 192.168.8.254, but it could be whatever you set up for your network that you're sending out through that LAN extension mode. And remembering as well, you can have VLANs set up as well. So you obviously want to make sure that if you're connecting a device into the FortiExtender in LAN extension mode, you want to make sure that you're using tagging if you're using VLANs on the device as well.
I will touch on that, unfortunately at the moment, VLANs are not supported in LAN extension mode. You can create them, but they won't work. But that is a feature that may be coming with the newer G series of FortiExtenders when they bring it out. In terms of the technical way it does it, just for those that are interested, it uses VXLAN under the hood. So it is a layer 2 connection from the laptop or from the device that's at the tail end of the FortiExtender to get into the FortiGate. There are another couple of questions here. Sorry, I'm just reading it at the same time. FortiExtender can send SMS notifications for data plan exhaustion. Can it also send email notifications for data plan exhaustion? I don't know the answer to this, Kieran.
It's a great question. We'll look further into it. I have a feeling we may be able to set it up through either the Forti Analyzer or maybe through some automation rules. So we'll have a look into that and we'll get back to you further on that. It's a great question.
That's what I was thinking as well. I was thinking maybe Forti Analyzer or the automation.
We had one here, Brendan, if I can read it out. Does the FortiExtender talk directly to FortiManager when managed by FortiManager so that we can use the USB to access the FortiGate when it's quote unquote broken?
I don't believe it does, because if it's managed by FortiManager when it's in FortiGate management mode, so it's still passing it through the FortiGate to get to the manager. My understanding is FortiCloud is the only way to be able to have central management for that out-of-band management style.
One thing you can do, yeah, absolutely. So if you want to do the central management, then you would probably want to look at doing that through FortiExtender Cloud. But if you are deploying the FortiExtender managed by the FortiGate, which in itself is managed by a FortiManager, and that instance does happen, where your FortiGate's gone haywire and you need to get out-of-band management access set up. If you enable SSH access to the FortiExtender itself, when we saw before, Brendan had the option of actually allowing SSH access to the FortiExtender itself. If you enable that, then you can actually access that FortiExtender through its WAN interface through SSH, and then you can use that out-of-band management system directly through SSH as well. So it's not as clean as having it potentially through FortiExtender Cloud Management, where you've got the centralized management and you just click a button, you're into the CLI of the FortiExtender itself, but it will still allow you to do that out-of-band management when you're managing it through the FortiGate and through the FortiManager.
Excellent. One more question that came in is what IFSEC protocols and algorithms are supported for the tunnels back to the FortiGate? One thing to note is the FortiExtender does hardware accelerate IPsec tunnels, but it doesn't accelerate VXLAN at the moment, which is why VLANs are not supported because it doesn't have that hardware acceleration. In the future SOC release, VXLAN will be hardware accelerated as well. So because the IPsec tunnel is actually hardware accelerated, they can actually do pretty strong ciphers and algorithms. I'm not sure exactly what the highest it does go to is, but it would be similar to the gate. It would be pretty high. So by default, I think it uses 256 on both SHA and AES. And the tunnel in LAN extension mode also sets up in IKEv2 as well, IKEv2. So yeah, that's all I've got, Kieran.
All right, well, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to reach out directly at any time. We're happy to answer any remaining questions that you might have. Next steps from here to get you onto the road to success. We do have 2 more upcoming webinars before the Christmas period. We've got one on FortiZTP, which is Zero Trust Provisioning, and we've also got one on the FortiExplorer app. So if you're interested to hear more about how you can do that initial configuration of a FortiExtender through the FortiExplorer app, please register and come along to that webinar. We'll actually be doing a live demonstration of setting up the FortiExtender through the app. And also we'll be, if I get it working in time, we'll also be trying to do it also on the brand new FortiGate 90G as well. Other than that, I'd recommend that you reach out to your account manager here at Wavelink or directly out to the pre-sales team if you'd like to get some further information on the FortiExtender, or maybe have some chats about, hey, I've got this customer here, but I don't know how to implement the FortiExtender within their network properly. Just reach out and they're more than happy to sit through and have those discussions with you. From there, we'd highly recommend to get your hands on a product and do an internal demo, set up the FortiExtender for yourself, put it in some of the deployment modes we've talked about, and utilize it so you've got that first-hand experience. We have demo and POC units that we can loan out to customers. So if you've got a customer that wants to do like a 5-day trial to see the benefits of the FortiExtender in first person, reach out. We do have a limited amount of demo stock that we can loan out temporarily. And also, once you've got that all in hand, you know, the FortiExtender ties in really well when you're talking about the security fabric. It's part of that security fabric. It's part of the story. It ties into the FortiGate. It ties into FortiManager, just like the FortiGate, just like FortiAP and FortiSwitch. It basically becomes part of the family. So whenever you're having discussions with a customer about deploying a FortiGate, setting up your WAN services, maybe have that discussion about setting up and introducing FortiExtender to do that resiliency and to make it more robust. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming along. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at presales@wavelink.com.au. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you hopefully in the next webinar. Thank you so much for coming along.